Hey guys, and welcome back to Castle Crush, and today we are going to be playing with my new level 8 Black Knight. It's boosted level 8, and so level 7, and I just upgraded it to that, and now it's boosted to level 8, and I also boosted most of the other cards in my normal ladder deck. So today we're going to be doing a push to see if we can make some trophies up before the end of the season, get close to 6K. So we'll see how far we can go. This is 5,129. So we've got a ways to go to get there. Let's see what type of progress we can make. And I still really like this deck. I've been playing with this deck for a long time. It's not as good, I feel like, as it used to be, but not that much has changed in terms of updates, obviously, because they haven't made any updates. So I think it's just with me being out of practice with playing it. I really need to learn some other ladder decks besides this one random deck that I just picked up from a tournament. But this one is still pretty fun. I like how it has a lot of different options. It's based off of the Valkyrie with the Black Knight and the Fire Elemental, but the Demon gives it a lot of options. And it's a very satisfying deck to play, but kind of spammy decks like this one can cause it some problems because they can kind of get ahead of me a little bit. So I generally try to focus on keeping as much board control as possible. And yeah, especially against these archer tribes. I really have to use the demons against the archer tribes, even though it's not really an optimal matchup. I just have to be able to keep pace and not let them get too much stuff on my castle. So this is quite a back and forth match. Luckily, I've got their 8 pirate at their castle, which is a good matchup. But they really still have control in the middle lane, especially with evenish health. So I decided to just go in for the value play on 2 cards at their castle. Try to catch the 8 pirate at their castle, even though my opponent's doing damage to me. I kind of was trying to take care of the most dangerous cards they had first. And still pretty even matchup. Although I think I have the advantage now with 2 Black Knights out there. And that's going to do it. So this deck does start off pretty slow, especially when I get like Black Knights and Fire Elementals in my starting hand. So I do have to kind of just delay my opponent a little bit, especially with cards like the Spiked Statue, Demon, and Shaman. And sometimes that can be less effective than other times. But when my opponent plays things a little bit slow, generally works in my favor. I didn't really mean to get rid of that Shaman right there. I think it just kind of happened. And this match is not starting out well at all. It's just really looking bad, but I do get a good value play there. Getting rid of the Fan Dancer, as well as some other cards. So I know I can't really do a whole lot against that Ice Elemental immediately, so I just kind of focused on what I could do. And then we get rid of the Ice Elemental. This person is being very persistent at my castle. Really looking bad in terms of my castle health. But I managed to get my Valkyrie down. And because they didn't have any cards to reach right to my castle very well. I mean, they did have a Fire Elemental, but I'm able to just get good momentum at their castle here. And the Valkyrie helped me get down 2 Black Knights, which were huge. And Spike Statue just really comes in handy over and over again. It's good against skeletons. It shuts down skeleton decks. It really helps against rushing decks. You can get a Storm Elemental with it. You can catch a Reaper in a split second with it. It's a very useful card. And it gives my deck, I said this before, it really gives this deck a lot of versatility. I think that's why it worked well in the tournament at times, because it had a lot of versatility to compete against different styles of decks, and it wasn't just good against only particular decks. So here you can see the deck that I'm running with in the specific cards, all of which, except for the extra crystal, are boosted. So double Black Knight, double Fire Elemental, double Demon, and of course Valkyrie being a very key card. The Shaman is a card I just absolutely love to start out with because they don't know where it is, and most of the time if you play it right, and it also gives me good positioning to play other cards. And it just forces my opponent to have to react most of the time, which is kind of a nice thing. And in this situation, it took some of the heat off of my castle, although I still do have a problem at my castle. So I end up using the Spike Statue. I do hold on to that typically, even with rushing decks. I try to wait for a key card, like either a Storm Elemental or a Reaper, typically to play it against. But in that situation, I just needed to block, because they didn't seem to be playing a card like that, so... And then, of course, the Fire Elemental, my go-to for taking care of ranged cards that are hiding behind the melee cards. And now we can just start going in on this opponent. They try to get the catapult going, but I'm not having any of that. It's like, bro, get off my castle. And then at that point, they're already like, good game. Even though their castle hadn't taken a single point of damage at that particular moment in time. They knew it was pretty much over as I took down 2 of their catapults. It was a good push by them, but I was able to come back and secure that win in the end. You can see here that Black Witch in my opponent's hand. I really always have to be trying to anticipate that Black Witch whenever my Valkyrie is coming up in the rotation. And that's really the card I'm looking to counter. And that's kind of what they're saving their Black Witch for, in theory. Or my Black Knight. So sometimes I will try to get the Black Knight out and be able to bait stuff. And will they try to play the Black Witch? They do try to play the Black Witch, although that was a close one. They do manage to get it then with the arrows. I think they just panicked and played the arrows. But now I can play my Valkyrie because the Black Witch is down, although unfortunately I had a demon as well. But it was a good job by me trying to get the Black Witch out there before I played the Valk. And they're blocking 2 of the lanes, even though they don't really have anything super substantial there. So I just decide I need to get some lane control back. That was kind of an accident. I think I meant to play Demon against the Ice Elemental, but that's the way it worked out. And now I'm going in on their castle to try and make a counter push. Ice Elemental is a problem card, although I do have like 3 different cards, I'd say 5 different cards in this deck. The double Spike Statue, double Demon, and Blizzard that can... I mean, not Blizzard. But those 2, as well as Shaman, that can deal... and Demon that can deal with the Ice Elemental. So, I do have options. But as you can see here, once I can get the Valkyrie down, I can get a really strong wave of Black Knights going. And now we are on the offensive here. I should just really play all the cards in my hand, but I wasn't fast enough. There's the Demon getting rid of the Ice Elemental. And that is going to be game over. Again, I start out with the Shaman. Definitely one of my favorite starting cards. If not my favorite starting card, maybe, other than stopping something with the Spike Statue. A little bit sloppy play there. And some of the sloppy play I think would come back to haunt me. But I was trying to trade where I could. And I think maybe I slow played this a little too much. So they get rid of the Valk, and I decided I need to just go in on their castle because they just used the lightning. So I'm like, all right, time to play the Valkyrie. They just used 2 lightnings. And they get the Black Knight in on the Valkyrie. And from there, I just do not have enough cards in my hand, it feels like. And I'm just trying to turn this around, but this is quite... That's definitely a situation where I should have been more patient. And rather than doing what I should do here, I kind of started to get a little impatient. That was a good move there to get rid of the first dragon. And I was doing all right at fighting back, but then I started to panic a little bit. I did okay here to try and get things going again. But then you can see I start to focus heavily on their castle. And they get a dragon out. And I start going for the castle rather than the dragon. It looked like a tough stack they had in the top lane. I thought I could just go straight for their castle. Some opponents would have kind of panicked in that situation. But this person just had some good stuff to block. And you can see here again, I was really going in on their castle. But they effectively blocked me in all 3 lanes I tried to attack in. And I think I could have taken out that dragon stack in the top lane if I just actually applied pressure there rather than going against them, against their castle. And I think they would have been out of cards there and it would have gone back to the next rotation. So I think I kind of made a mistake. But that's the way that goes sometimes, unfortunately. So the pirate is often a problem, but right here you can see I was able to isolate the pirate pretty easily. And against this sort of rushing style deck, the key thing is to just get rid of some of the cards that they're playing against my castle. I'm not worrying too much about keeping much in reserve because they're not really likely to have endgame cards with this type of deck. So I really just need to counter what they're playing now, or at least try to get rid of as much of it as possible. And that catapult is a big threat, so definitely wanted to get on that very quickly and minimize the damage they're doing to my castle, especially with cannon shot in their hand. That was definitely the correct thing to do, because they can't finish me off with cannon shot alone. They have to get X amount of damage out of cards such as the catapult and the genie and the other cards they are playing there. So they were getting reasonably close. They did a pretty solid amount of damage, but luckily I was on the ball there. I think getting rid of that catapult quickly was probably pretty key because they had the dwarf in front and they had a good amount of space there. They could have certainly done a lot more damage to me. So it was very good that I was able to eliminate that catapult quickly, and they're getting another one up. So you can see I prioritized it, went right in there with the lightning, and that was game over. This person was honestly trying to do something similar. And really, again, just minimizing the damage. Do not let the genie sit there and whack away at your castle, because you're going to pay for it. It doesn't seem like a card that's doing that much, but when they're combining it with cannon shot, it's just chipping away at your castle. Cannon shot and meteor and boneyard, balm. You can see they just had a bunch of cards to chip away at my castle. And it was very key that I went in with as many defensive cards as possible here and really quickly stopped any possible damage that they were going to do, because they're not going to win with balm, cannon shot, and meteor alone. They have to get some damage from some other cards. So if I can block the damage from the other cards, such as the boneyard and the genie, they're not going to win. So it's really that simple. I mean, at least in this mode. In double mana they might, but in this mode, you know, especially with me having Fire Elemental, being able to get right to their castle, you know, it's not like they're going to be able to stop me as easily. And you can see here, I was already winning. Especially my spike statue right there really shut them down. And I was pretty proud of that win, just because that type of deck gave me so much trouble, for example, in double mana speed mode. But there I was able to do it, and there you can see 6,000 trophies. I made it to 6K. Let's go. That's my highest trophy count in a long time. So leave a like if you enjoyed. Let me know what you thought about this video in the comments and what other types of content I should create. Maybe subscribe if you're new to my channel, and I will see you guys soon.